There's something profoundly spiritual about riding waves. Water is transformative, healing. You're at the mercy of Mother Nature, the ever-changing movement of water. The ocean is the great equalizer. You don't need to belong to a certain race, religion, or gender to surf. The pursuit of these fleeting walls transcends sport. It's a way of life. Surfing has the power to change the world. It will now take the next step on the world's greatest sporting stage, the Olympic Games. The International Surfing Association is the world's governing body of surfing, recognized by the International Olympic Committee with member nations around the globe. This is the ISA. This is a better world through surfing.
I'm Sam Bleakley in the booth with the mighty Ben Way as we look to see some fantastic surfers taking to the water. John Paul Andrews from South Africa, Red Dog Wheatley from Australia, Thomas Freitas from Portugal, and representing Saudi Arabia, Munhad Al-Maki. A really exciting four-surfer heat coming up. Up and riding from South Africa, takes a leg drop, pulls into that section there, just punches out the back of the wave. We've already seen a couple of tubes on offer then. I mean, tell me about these.
He kind of powered him out, so it looked like Green was dropping in on him when Green actually had the right of way on that exchange.
Up and riding, John Paul Andrews, nice glassy clean section in trim, a lot of speed, pulls into that closeout, punches out of the back, covered a lot of ground, good distance, should be a decent score for John Paul.
Yeah, I would figure so. That first one, he kind of dropped too hard to the bottom, wasn't able to get any projection down the line, and this one he was able to run it, so we look forward to seeing what that comes out as.
Out of that fantastic hothouse of surf culture, the likes of Carl Williams, Chris Guts-Griffiths. I mentioned two iconic Welsh surfers as shortboarders and longboarders. They were very proud to see Llewellyn win that world title for Wales last year, as we see John Paul Andrews get another score on the board. Little left, it'll be his third scoring ride.
Yeah, I was going to point out that that last exchange, he got what he needed and more, and moved him into the first place position before this wave.
There we go. So John Paul Andrews out there in first place. No scoring heat. Red Dog Wheatley had that interference call, so he'll lose that second scoring wave there. He's just got a 2.17 to his name. Thomas Freitas only chasing a small score of a 0.88. Munhad Al-Maki from 28 is leading that process of evaluating the opportunity to include parasurfing as John Paul Andrews from Muizenberg, South Africa. Fly the flag for your nation, a great element of pride here at the World Parasurfing Championship as John Paul Andrews, our heat leader, pulls in a little head dip, little shampoo, and a little almost collision with our surfer from Portugal, Thomas.
Hello and welcome to Huntington Beach, California. I'm Kelly Miller, President and CEO of Visit Huntington Beach.
Known as Surf City, USA, Huntington Beach boasts 10 miles of coastline and the most consistent waves on the West Coast. Huntington Beach has it all, with endless summer weather, year-round events, outdoor activities, and oceanfront resorts and spas. So get ready to be inspired, be connected, and be here, Huntington Beach. Plan your visit at surfcityusa.com.
Action live from Huntington Beach, Surf City, USA for the 2023 ISA World Para Surfing Championship as we move into heat number 5 men's Neil classification with 3 times gold medalist Mark Mono Stewart, the mighty Aussie, the Huracanji's team leader, coming up against reigning world champion Llewellyn Sponge Williams from Haversock in North Wales. Also representing Wales, Isaac Hare, and representing South Africa, and having just ridden the opening wave of this heat, that little sucky wedgie left-hander, it's Tyler Pike. Great heat to look forward to. We just saw a great...
Actually done spotting for him in the US Open last year, and that is a very, very difficult job. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that when we get into the visually impaired class. Let's look at a little action here. Red with a
presence charisma of the Welshman looking really good. You see Tyler Pike just gets that one on top of him there.
Career, and now he's really created a monster. So it's pretty interesting.
So there it is. Any surfer riding a wave in a kneeling position with an above-the-knee amputation or both lower limb amputations or congenital or impairment equivalent. So we see Llewellyn Sponge Williams there, who had an accident while skateboarding, which caused the amputation of his leg, but he came back strong. When he was recovering in hospital, his friends decorated the hospital ward in surfing posters and also with sex wax, so he really had the smell of surfing. And we see Mark Bono Stewart in the tube, coming out of the tube with speed. The line he took there. When I saw him this morning, the first thing he said to me was, "Mate, looks like a couple of barrels out there." And sure enough, that's what we just saw from Mono.
Insane. And I've seen Mono punching himself out of barrels. I've been catching up on his Instagram. He's been doing a ton of...
Known as Jadi, the Rastafari reggae singer, is surfing against Guy Oliver Sinclair from South Africa, Alfonso Faria out of Portugal, and our surfer from Mexico, Jesus Gilberto Dominguez Aguila. Up and riding on his screen right now, it's our South African Ollie, Guy Oliver Sinclair. Gets a nice trim speed line there, locking that rail on the inside. You can really see how he's redirected there by switching the plane in edges, switching pressure from one elbow to the other. 20-minute heats continue. So Pino, of course, Davi Teixeira for the women. We've got some great surfers like Malu Mendez, who was a medalist last year in her classification. And we got the likes of Paolo Kidd, who's the father of Mauro. He's a coach for the team. But also Neto Peralta, Alcino Neto Peralta, a world champion. He's not competing this year, but he is a coach for the Brazilian team. So that's a very powerful situation that they're in.
It certainly is. And in the world of parasurfing, Mono and Pirata basically got the movement going in the very beginning. And so when you have someone that's been around for the entire movement, the entire evolvement of this sport, you've got a lot of guns in your where do you keep guns? I'm not an arms expert. I don't know where you keep guns, but yeah, he's got a lot of arms built up.
It's a metaphor, isn't it? And of course, what a strong team Brazil. And Davi Teixeira there, you know, he's got that lively approach that we see from Jose Martinez. A lot of core strength, yeah. Very different to the likes of Eric Lazar and Jesse Bilauer and Mark Hager, who will just be using those elbows to really drive and accelerate. And what I love is the way the judges are able to absorb those different approaches and drop those big scores, as we see the replay here of our interference call. Talk us through this, Ben.
All right, so Blue had pushed in, and I think from Rioma's side, he probably thought that he was in the wave earlier, and so he was just going to stick with it. Green obviously was aware that they had the first priority, and we're probably going, wait, what are you guys doing over here? Little bit of a mix-up there.
Onglet 2023 event, but up and riding right now, our surfer Ryoma from Japan, nicknamed Jadi there. Nice approach, engaged Pete at the Welsh Parasurfing Open at the Wave in Bristol earlier in the season, and look out, those guys are improving fast, developing a lot of good equipment. They'll be coming up next. So all of you German fans tuning in, you've got a good heat to look forward to. But right now we got Portugal, South Africa, Mexico, Japan, and typical of ISA events, a rainbow spectrum of nations represented, Ben.
Yes, this is, I love how Fernando always calls it the United Nations of surfing. It really is. And when you see all of these surfers sometimes volunteering to help out with the other teams, it's more of a family atmosphere than a competition atmosphere. But out in the water, things are serious.
Record-breaking participation here, 184 athletes, and a big relationship between the ISA and Huntington Beach. This is the 8th major ISA event held at Surf City, USA, as Guy Oliver Sinclair from South Africa, up and riding, the surfer from Winston Park, Durban, KwaZulu Natal there, the South African champ from 2022 and 2023 in the KwaZulu Natal champ from both of those years as well. Got a nice wave there. He'll add to that 2.67, probably replace that 0.87. He does. He gets a 2.07. Judges drop that score nice and quick. The average taken from all of those scores that the judges drop out of 10, the highest and lowest eliminated, and an average taken, and that's why you'll get those decimal points. Most of the judges will often drop a whole number or a fairly simple decimal point, like a 2 or a 2.5, or maybe if they're comparing to another wave, it might be like a 2.75. But those unusual decimal points are just created from those averages. My son finds that fascinating. He's always asking, Dad, why a 2.67? And I explain that, and he goes, great. And he learns a little bit of math in the process.
That's perfect. I just wanted to point out, as we were seeing a little exchange there at the end of Oliver's ride right there, the guys in the orange jerseys are strictly water safety. So they basically stabilize the rider, make sure he's safe, hold the board in position. They are not allowed to put the rider back on the board. So they have to basically just hold him in position until his catcher can go and meet up with where they've got him. But they will hold him in place. If the set comes, they'll help to pull the rider under the wave, but they aren't allowed to mount the guy and start sending him out. So he has to basically wait there until the catcher can reach him. And so you see the catchers are usually really good body surfers.
To a stand-up board, but not as far up as I surfed from Japan. Up and trimming right now on this section is our South African in second position. Good redirect there. Again, just switches planing edges. You can see the nuances, the subtleties in the way he just leaned onto that inside elbow and then engaged that rail, and now he'll find the opportunity to get his catcher to come and help him. So Ben, talk us through this moment now where the catcher's really getting involved with the prone to surf.
Well, you know what? When I've worked as a catcher, you really feel like you're the goalie of a soccer match. And when you see the rider dropping in, you have to kind of predict how far it's going to take them. You want to try and meet them at the end of the line. Sometimes they blow way past you. But his catcher was really good at reading what direction he was going to go and where to find him. Got right back to him. Didn't even need to get the water safety involved there. And but it's a stressful, high adrenaline moment being a catcher as well. Watch him come in here. He reads this wave really well. Starts it off right, sees there's not too much opportunity, starts to kind of change it back, goes right again, and then here he sees the left side opens up just a bit, gives him a chance to run and reform that left, and just connecting with that energy really well. And look at his catcher, just perfectly in position. So there's times where the rider's blow past you, and then you are just on a sprint to try and go in and meet them, because it's all up to you to get your rider back out there for another chance.
The iconic Huntington Beach Pier there, such a beautiful part of the coast here, nearly 10 miles stretch of sand. That original pier built in 1904, 1,000 feet long, and there's so many peaks to ride. Of course, north and south of the pier it's going to be more competitive, busier, but you had a little walk up the beach yesterday and just reminding yourself of how many options there are to surf quiet peaks here at Huntington Beach.
Yeah, and as I was looking up facts on Huntington Beach, it's 8.5 miles of beach. You have so...
In that heat just went by so fast. Guy Ollie Sinclair takes second. Our Mexican and our Japanese surfers will move into the repechage rounds, while our South African and Portuguese surfer will move into the progression round 2. But look at those conditions. It continues to be excellent here, Ben.
Unbelievable. Picturesque surf city. And I just keep telling all these friends from around the world, you're living the California dream right now. Yeah, they definitely are.
Well, tune in soon, because we will continue the action here. Men's Prone 2, live from Huntington Beach, Surf City, USA.
Hello and welcome to Huntington Beach, California. I'm Kelly Miller, President and CEO of Visit Huntington Beach.
Known as Surf City, USA, Huntington Beach boasts 10 miles of coastline and the most consistent waves on the West Coast. Huntington Beach has it all, with endless summer weather, year-round events, outdoor activities, and oceanfront resorts and spas. So get ready to be inspired, be connected, and be here, Huntington Beach. Plan your visit at surfcityusa.com.
9-point ride is one of the highest of the day. Now we'll see if anyone's able to match that in this final heat of the round with Anthony Smith of South Africa, Shingo Kato of Japan, Camilo Abdullah of Portugal, and Ian Soler of Puerto Rico out in the water.
Yeah, Soler, only 18 years old, kid from Puerto Rico, San Juan, favorite surf break La Ocho, has a lot to prove right here, but it seems like Smith up early and he wants to get started as quickly as he can, Shannon.
The South African with a quick check on his forehand and just wanting to get that first score going, like you said.
Point of the heat, still open priority between blue and white.
Anthony looking to get up to his feet quickly. And he'll go down to reposition now.
E todas três eu vim treinando, todas três botei no pé. E essa prancha, ela é feita na Proilha, com um projeto da Mais Surf, muito específico para mim, porque eu sou baixa estatura, pesado, para 50 quilos. Então, o design que ele projetou para essa prancha, eu vou vir muito rápido, muito bem.
All right, he made the surfboards with plasma surf, and he made like 3 boards, similar but in different sizes. And he's been training in hometown very much. And this board, the problem with his board that he is short, but he's strong. So you have to have a condition for the board that he can perform.
Perfect. And also, I know that you surf, your son competes, your daughter also surfs, and I want to ask if surfing with your children
Make them complicated, and surfing tends to be that way. Don't overthink it.
Up and riding now, our heat leader, Smith. Great rail work for that opening turn. Spicy as he comes through to the inside. He's got so much speed. Check off the lip, and he'll finish off clean, gives that stare back.
Semifinals as of right now.
And a paddle from Anthony straight up to his feet. Great stance. Similar opening turn to what we saw from one of his 7s. He's got that 7.9 and a 717 on the board now.
Well, what's so impressive about him, Shannon,
in the booth alongside Mitch Salazar to call the action. We've got a stacked field, Mitch, with France, South Africa, Israel, and Norway in the water.
yeah, and it's cool to see Norway in there. Was able to talk to Ismail before he paddled out this morning, and he's wearing a Viking helmet basically when he's not in the water. And his
Action. And JP Veaudry, we just saw that great clip, hearing a little bit more about his story, an accident that's turned into
board actual division, so you will be scored as a shortboarder despite the board that you're riding.
JP now up and riding. Woo. Great backhand whip to start off with. Sets his line for that second turn. Connects through for the third. And showing why he walked away with the...
And a good grip underneath his feet as well. But this way from JP comes in as a massive one, Shannon. An 8.17. Real strong carve on the backhand there. Little setup turn. And finishes with a tight click.
Could be replacing that 367. We'll get back to that in a moment as we take a look at JP. And great opening turn. gauges that rail, and he'll kick out.
Yeah, he looks good on the backhand. We really haven't seen him in this heat go right. There haven't been many available rights out there, and that wind, as predicted, has picked up quite significantly too, so you see a lot more textured water out there.
For sunset, now that daylight savings has come through, we'll be needing to finish out competition by 5 p.m.
Yeah, this came in as a 6.33 for JP. Good looking first turn right there. Got a little hung up coming out of it, but just the execution of going up, and obviously international too. Let's get it in there.
Yeah, it would be so incredible to see that get across the line. JP with a quick opportunity, he'll kick out. He was able to replace his 4.67 that he opened with a 6.33 for his previous wave, so he's sitting with a convincing lead and big requirements on the rest of the field. But yeah, it's been incredible.
And the way he was able to do it, you know, flaunting those Supermans around, it seems like JP's taken inspiration from that and learned a little bit about Jordy in the process.
Great positioning as he lines up for that opening turn. And this wave just kind of shrinks in size as he comes through the inside, is able to connect with that foam one more time, checks the watch as well. He knows that he's not going to have enough time to get himself onto another wave. He doesn't really need to. At this stage, he's got an 8.17 to 6.33 on the board and just 45 seconds.
First of all, big congratulations for winning the Rugby World Cup.
Well, it wasn't me, but I did cheer them on, for sure.
And how much can sport unite a country when you see something like that happening in your own country? How powerful is that?
Quite honestly, I actually wasn't coming on this event. I was suffering some really bad back injuries. I literally bought my tickets 3 days before the event started. And when I watched those guys, the Boca win, I thought, oh, come on, can't let them down.
And you just told me that last year, yes, you got a silver medal, but all of your heats, you're in second place. So this is your first post-heat interview. It must feel really special to kick off 2023 with a really good win.
Well, you know, the interview is important. No, yeah, I mean, the waves are the best we've had in any event. You know, this is probably about the 7th time I've surfed this event. They were quite fun. Not as good as back home, but you know, win's a win.
And you're such an icon for the parasurf community. Tell us about the adaptive surf community back home in South Africa and how strong a team you've got here at Huntington Beach.
Yeah, I'm really proud of our team. Last year we got the best result we ever got. Just missed a copper medal, and we're just getting better and better. You know, there's more and more enthusiasm, more athletes, and more people sharing the stoke.
And I know it's perfect time back home for all your family and friends to be tuning in. I'm sure you've got some big messages. I'll let you share those.
Amelia, be good. Isabella, don't be a brat. And Gabby, thanks so much. I love you lots.
Congratulations, JP. Looking forward to seeing more of you in the event, hopefully all the way to the final. Let's get back to the action show.
Hello and welcome to Huntington Beach, California. I'm Kelly Miller, President and CEO of Visit Huntington Beach.
Known as Surf City, USA, Huntington Beach boasts 10 miles of coastline and the most consistent waves on the West Coast. Huntington Beach has it all, with endless summer weather, year-round events, outdoor activities, and oceanfront resorts and spas. So get ready to be inspired, be connected, and be here, Huntington Beach. Plan your visit at surfcityusa.com.
Let's breathe, recognize the positions. It's Jan Nishida in the lead with a 3.83, Beatrice Duran in second with a 2.33, and up and riding Natasha there. She really committed to that takeoff, our surfer from South Africa. A powerful drop there. She takes a nosedive, but that's her first score on the board, and she's going to get some assistance there from the water safety just while she gets...
Mueller in the Hawaiian Adaptive, and so she's coming in hot and definitely hungry for a medal.
Yeah, hungry for a medal and demonstrating great control there. I mean, not only was it good wave selection, it was all in the pocket. There was a lot of maneuvers and a lot of acceleration. And like you say, you know, really using that technique where one arm stretched much further than the other arm. And that seems to have been a prevalent feature of some of the strongest surfing we've seen in the pro divisions today and yesterday. That slightly more kind of bodyboard inspired technique.
Definitely. And as we touched on a bit earlier, we were talking about the possibilities of having more and more kind of bodyboard-esque equipment in the future for some of these riders. The one thing that is a drawback in the short length, most bodyboards are about 40 inches, about 3.5 feet to maybe 4 feet for the longer ones. That makes a lot more work for the pusher and the catcher to get them back into position. On the wave, they're going to be able to maneuver and fit into places all over the place. But once they are having to relocate, move around, that's going to take a lot more effort and a lot more time to get out of.
And I guess one of those perpetual challenges that all wave riders have is that combination of planing through flat sections, but having a board that's maneuverable enough to be radical in steep sections. And that's like a constant trial and error process of how you can get through those slower parts with either flatter rocker or a longer board, but you've got something lively enough to fit loose, and I can't see the surfer.
Yes, we could possibly have a little bit of a leash problem here. Maybe the leash broke. Some of these riders won't use a leash. Like Jesse Billauer, he doesn't have the strength in his arms to get tugged on to have the leash. So he kind of locks in and kind of hooks. Roy Tuscany, who's not down here today. We saw Gunnar, their boy, yesterday, and but Roy saw my interest in getting into designing boards, and High Fives gave the first grant for my first 3 boards that I made.
Catastrophically big social influencer. He's got 460,000 followers on Instagram. So if you want to make that even bigger, follow him at Davizan Horror Radical, which is Davi CINHRADICAL. So if you look on the ISA website, you can get links to the surfers' social media accounts and follow them and see their work. Davi Teixeira, the reason he's the reigning world champion is because he absolutely shreds. And then wait, he's just dropped an 8.50 for his opening wave. As we see our South African guy, Ollie Sinclair, the 48-year-old national champion on a fast right-hander from Winston. As we can see, our surfer Davi Teixeira is now sitting out there in second priority as Guy Ollie Sinclair from South Africa just gets that assistance to get himself back onto his board. So of course in this Pro 2 classification, these are surfers that need that in the lead. In first priority though, it's Guy Ollie Sinclair representing South Africa. We had the opportunity to interview JP Veaudry earlier today, and we talked about their way sport, united country. Of course, South Africa having just won the Rugby World Cup, beating the All Blacks, the Kiwis, New Zealand in a fantastic final. And that's the healing power of sport, the way it can transcend politics, social situations, and unite and bring people together and really celebrate that shared space. And the extra powerful thing about parasurfing is not only do we have that sporting element, we've got the ocean, we've got the healing qualities of water, that free space that we're all responsible to look after, but we all have a right to access, use, enjoy, love. And for these athletes also, it becomes a place to really perform and put on a show.
Yeah, and it gives you something to look forward to. It gives you a reason to train, especially these competitions. It's great to have a driving force and something to always be constantly working on and looking forward to. And who doesn't love getting out in the water?
Yeah, and who wouldn't love to be diving into that right now? And the great thing about competing is you have that opportunity to surf a quiet lineup, and that's one of the driving motivations for many of these athletes to progress, not only through rounds to win golds, but just that opportunity to keep surfing without a crowd around you. And this is Davi Teixeira going over that wave there, but it's Ollie Sinclair with a carving bottom turn, engaging that rail incredibly well. Powerful approach from Ollie Sinclair. He sits out there looking to drop a 417 as his low scoring ride, and we can just see the water safety team getting nice and close there to Ollie, and he pops up. He's got his flotation vest on there, so he's all good, nice and safe. I love the way he engaged that rail. Davi Teixeira, stay with us, surf fans, because we've got more to come. We've got 2 more heats of men prone to second round. And we've got Shannon Hughes and Mitchell Salazar coming in to call the action. But first, let's look back for that beautiful celebration and gathering of the opening ceremony here at Huntington Beach a few days ago.
Before that, when it was still a smaller group of competitors overall, so the classifications were slightly different. Kizu in the water for Team Brazil up against Chris Oberle for USA, Douglas Hendrikz for South Africa, and Elias Valencia for Team Chile. And this is Elias and Douglas. We do have another score to come through for Douglas though, and he's narrow paddling into this wave. Use to the paddle in the face of the wave, as well as just whipping around with that weight, throwing that tail out for the wave ski and trying to get that clean.
You can just tell that he has that ferocity, just like Hendrikz does. These guys want to be able to make it through, and this is a tough heat. Overlay has a good amount of talent. Valencia, he got 3rd place over in Hawaii earlier this year at one event. So everybody with a good amount of competitive experience out there in this first heat, Shannon.
Yeah, it's so true, and that makes it really exciting to watch, knowing that everyone has that little nugget in their back pocket, in their memory. They've had great success, whether it's a world title or just on the tour, being able to walk away victorious in different events. Gives that extra bit of experience, that extra bit of knowledge when it comes to holding on to that pressure in the water.
Yeah, and being from a different region rather than this one too, it gives you an extra motivation in terms of hunger too. So maybe for Overlay, competing for the U.S., you have a sense of familiarity with the place. But for those who haven't been here before or have only been here a few times, now you want to be able to win at a place you haven't conquered before. As we look at the replay here of the surfer from South Africa, Hendrikz. So this came in as a 5-point ride. As a logger,
super exciting and wonderful to be a part of. Anytime we can get together and catch some waves, it's a wonderful day.
We know you're from Maui, and I'm sure you've got some messages of support for all of the community back home in Maui.
Yeah, they're dealing with so much out there, and I hope I can help out in any way I can. And I always feel like you can't do enough, and just seeing the way everybody's come together. And Jan, our team manager, has done so much for everybody out there as well. It's tough to see, and it's wonderful to see everybody come together. And always hoping the best for everybody.
Scott, it's been great watching you. Good luck in the rest of the event. We hope you go far. I look forward to seeing you on the glass again. We'll get back to the action.
Thanks so much, Sam. A great performance from Scott in that last heat. As we've got some live action here, it's our surfer in green with first priority, Douglas Hendrikz for South Africa. And he's gonna slide down the line after that first opening turn. Now looking for that clean kick out, uses his priority, as we've got a pelican diving in for some fish just behind.
Yeah, and Hendrikz really goes for it. I mean, he truly goes and attacks those sections when they pop up. Looking to replace a 4.5, could easily do that right here on this.
Now as he paddles back after that wave.
He looks good, the 5-time world champion, and here goes Hendrikz now.
Hendrikz just caught behind the section. He's trying to get around it. That wave's going to close out on him, so he'll try and just kick out quickly. He did improve his situation with a 5.67. Now will the 5-time world in another 8. He's improved it with an 8.83 on the board, holding down a 16.83 heat total. He's looking very favorable to be another gold medalist.
Well, as of right now, yeah, you're dropping 2 excellent scores within the first 16 minutes of the heat. I'd say you're pretty comfortable on this. Throwing away a couple of scores that, paired with the initial 8, would still have him in the lead.
So those are the current competitors we have out in the water. We've got a men's and women's division for this. It used to be a division that was combined for men and women together, but now there's enough surfers that we've got a women's division as well. Quick in and out for our surfer in green. He is holding on to that second place position at the moment with just 1:30 on the clock.
Yeah, only 90 seconds and still a decent amount of time to work with for the other 3 surfers in second, third, and fourth respectively, but you got to give a lot of props to Lima. I mean,
Parasurfing has the power to bring us together. Together, we push the limits, further the sport, and go for gold. You've crossed countries to get to the World Championships. Let Access Tracks simplify crossing the sand. Access Tracks, the official beach access pathway of the ISA World Parasurfing Championships.
Access Tracks are covering Huntington Beach, California this week as we've got the world's best parasurfers. Currently out in the water, we have the visually impaired 2 women's heat number 2, round 1, with France, South Africa, and Canada all looking for an opportunity to get 2 good waves. It is a round robin, so it's not necessarily the top 2 that are going to be in the best position, but getting those single big scores is what it's all about. With Lou Machiche of France, Michelle McFarlane of South Africa, and Ling Pai of Canada out in the water.
Yeah, and you know, Lou's been a copper medalist.
On Aleli's face, taking away a big win, and her dad, Ricky, you can see him jumping up and down on the beach when the beach announcer announced her 8-point ride.
Yeah, and you know, they got a good relationship too. He doesn't want to push her to a point where she's not enjoying things anymore. And I think that's obviously very respectful, but you know, as somebody who's been in that position before with a parent, that you know, you want to have them as your coach, but more than anything as your support system, you know. So it's really cool to see their dynamic and their relationship together. And it's obviously paying off, Shannon, because she dropped an 8-point ride in her first heat.
It's so true. And like she said, you know, if you're watching this, if you're at home and have the opportunity to compete in any one of these divisions as a parasurfer, if you've never been in the ocean before, or you're already surfing back at home, but you're maybe just finding out that there's a world championships that you could possibly be competing in, then get in touch, get involved. The ISA is doing great things behind the scenes, but there are so many grassroots movements happening around the world, and every one of these surfers are into the right waves on the inside. She hasn't been able to get outside that 2-point range, which will likely need to be a takeoff on an open face wave, or a wave that turns into an open face and isn't just that whitewater. Looks like Ling with a really heavy takeoff as the buzzer goes off. Partial vision. That she's got that white water coming and she can catch it all the way in. We've got the rest of our surfers that are now into the shoreline, and that will finish out our division for our visually impaired 2 on the women's side of the draw. We're going to have Sam Bleakley and Ben Way coming in the booth to call the action for our men's visually impaired 1, which will be coming up next. So stay tuned for more action here at the ISA World Parasurfing Championships.
Heat. She's a gold medalist in Prone 2 and has now switched into Prone 1. This is the non-assist Prone, and coming up right now, this is our heat. It's Spain and South Africa, Hawaii and Israel. It's Kalama Onyate, caused by damage to the central nervous system. But we see Tracy McKay up and riding right now, hanging onto the nose of that beautiful 4-fin board. Wow, what an interesting design we see there, Ben. 2 fins wide in the back half, and then 2 other side fins towards the tail. Tell us about Tracy's choice of equipment and fin configuration.
Yeah, and spin it around. A lot of these scores that White has made have been on the inner third of the lineup.
She's been so busy, a great strategy. She's already looking like she's got 6 rides, and that was a 2.47 for her last wave. So it's her second highest score. She's got that near 5 total. So now Tracy needs a 3.90. Can she get that kind of score from the inside, or is that going to be a score that she needs to get further out back?
Probably further out back. As far as Red having her lower score was, well, actually, you know what? That lower score was made from the midsection. So yeah, a few more paddles over a couple more whitewashes, she would be in that same zone that Red got her backup score on.
Tracy McKay from South Africa looking at this one. She's got a grip on her grip at the nose there, and it just doesn't quite allow her to keep her Spider Murphy board moving onto the inside section to get that opportunity to strike for a 3.90 as we move down into the last minute. And another question I had, Ben, for you very quickly was with regards to shaping the boards, handle placement. Are handles generally attached via adhesive, or occasionally are you glassing the handle placements into position?
As far as mine go, I actually put inserts with T-nuts, sort of like a snowboard binding, underneath the glass. So it's actually resined into the foam before the board's glassed. Kayla, so she got one wave, 0.77.
So great to see Kayla there coming in, knowing that this is also a round robin format. So the surfers will have an opportunity to surf in a round 2, and the best 2 scores, whether they're in the first round or the second round, will be combined to create the progressing surfers. So in throw 1, the progression will be the top 4 moving into the final. So they all get to surf the same amount of times. So with 20 seconds remaining, it looks like Tracy McKay is going to have one more opportunity. She takes a fall there, a little nosedive, as we get to see her beautifully built Safari Spider Murphy surfboard there with the distinctive spray with the neon pink fading into the neon green. And I mean, that's a beautiful color combination, and you know, very indicative of a lot of classic sprays we might have seen at Huntington Beach in the 1980s, and classic Spider Murphy. Congratulations, Tracy, great performance there. But stay with us, surf fans, because we'll be right back after these short messages, and we'll be moving into the women stand 2 round, live on day 3 from Huntington Beach.
We've already got a 1-point ride on the board for Similo, USA, Brazil, South Africa, and Mexico. Looking to get their first waves 3 days into competition. They've been down on the beach supporting their teammates. They've been getting those free surfs in the week in the lead up to the performance, to the opening days of our competition, but also in those mornings and those evenings as well. But they finally have that opportunity to put on a jersey and show us their own performances.
Yeah, and
we've got Similo sitting in that second place position with a 1-point ride, waiting for Michelle and for Anna to get their opening rides in the red and white jerseys. You can see that swell still really consistent, still challenging for some of these surfers to be duck diving through waves. So we've seen the tactic from many of our surfers across different disciplines, across different categories throughout today, being to actually pull themselves.
Amazing job just to position herself all the way on the outside, as it seems like Barbara had a look there on the inside, Shannon.
Yeah, having a look, trying to get that first big score on the board. And Vera's got herself sitting in a really great position, as you said, for Team Brazil.
Yeah, and Barbie originally from Ensenada, Baja California, right there, a couple hours south of the border here from Tijuana, and now resides in San Diego. Loves to surf Tres M's and San Miguel, which is a premier wave in Baja California, right here in Mexico.
Has set her up in that 3rd place position, and we're still waiting for Michelle Eastman out of Team USA to get her opening ride. There we can see Similo is back in the lineup. She's got that one, she's got that 0.53, and she's having a paddle now to get into this one. Great looking wave as that double up kind of picks up that second wall of white water into the first one. Unfortunately, it'll just tip her off balance, and she won't be able to get up to her knees. But she's quickly going to get back to that board and look to paddle right back out again. We'll see if she's going to decide to head into the shoreline. Her team will be right there on the sand to do the runaround again, should the need be.
Yeah, and with this division, you do have 4 points of contact you can use, so both of your arms, and you need to be fully on your knees for this one. Rather, as if you would see standing 1 or standing 2, you're going to have, for the most part, 4 points of contact, but you do need to be standing upright. Here, you can be fully on your knees, and the cool thing is that you can either use your rails if you would like, or you can also have something to grab onto on the front part of the board and maneuver that way. It seems like
in the kneeling division, they may have a preference on right or left, but since they're on their knees in that crouched position, they kind of can favor either side. Similo now on the 2nd run around. Team South Africa doing a great job to get her into position. Now setting her up to get to that board, and she actually just outruns the team, unfortunately, with that leash on, but she's going to be right back up again. As well as a special guest, Aleli Medina from Team Puerto Rico will be joining me in the booth for conversation, so stay tuned for more right after this. From South Africa, all with an opportunity to improve their results from their opening qualification round. Looking to improve on the first scores that they had coming through. So we'll see how they go in this one, if they're able to improve their standings when it comes to the top 12
further into the medal rounds too. And Oregi has had a couple of good performances so far in this one. Excited to see what he's able to bring to the table, and it seems like all three surfers capable of being all the way on the outside. And with the Neil division, we've seen some excellent scores throughout these opening qualifying rounds, Shannon. Excited to see what they can bring in.
To be able to swallow those early losses. When you put in so much work, you're feeling good in preparation ahead of time. Ibon now up and riding, and a great looking carve to start off with. Good wave selection. He'll duck out under the lip to finish off with and finish with control.
Yeah, should be a...
Yes, Victoria Page. Since the first time I have been here, it's like the most, the better girl. So I'm very happy to be here and to compete with her.
And you represent the Spanish sit-ski team. You'll be competing in the Para-Winter Olympics. Tell us about the parallels between the alpine sport of para-skiing and surfing.
Yeah, Jose Michel. My father's name was Jose de Jesus, so he named my older brother Jesus Philip and named me Jose Michel, yeah.
Awesome. Love the way that you, just shorten it to the middle name, and great call when it comes to having so many other, friends and family and kids you're going to school with as well.
It's hard, legal documentation though. You have to sign everything with your full name, and every now and then you tend to forget that when people call you for, certain documents, you're like, oh yeah, that is my name. And I do have to remember that's my official first name. So, especially traveling ISA events, you tend to see a lot of people with different names on their bios too, and it can be a little complicated every now and then.
JP Andrews with a solid set in front of him, keeping that body weight, that posture.
When Paris finally said, no, we're going to do a whole different thing, we're going to Chopu, it's like we all went, oh my God, what an amazing idea.
Chopu is one of the most incredible waves, probably a wonder of the world.
And it's just sort of like a whole nother world out there. It's godlike, it's quiet, serene, beautiful. Then you have this glorious wave that comes off a reef, and it's so powerful and so beautiful.
I think Chopu has the opportunity to capture the imagination visually for what people think surfing is.
The wave at Teahupo is super scary and beautiful at the same time.
I have to give them a lot of props for the courage of making a commitment to Tahiti.
I think it'll be a really exciting way to showcase all the athletes and their talent.
I think it's going to be very good.
Action. And we've got a really stacked heat with England, Australia, Portugal, and South Africa in the water.
Yeah, and two of the better representatives in this classification, as you were mentioning, Martin Pollock and Mark Mono Stewart. Tomas Freitas out there from Portugal in the green as well, and Tyler Pike, the lone South African in the...
Harold, you guys are amazing. Getting to train with Laird at the pool, definitely learning new breath techniques. High fives. I appreciate you guys supporting this dream and just working on this together. I train at Deep to Peak and Avasol. It's all about saving our reefs, our beaches. I actually found a piece of plastic floating in my heat. Grabbed it, stuffed it in my jersey, said a little prayer, hoped that it would stay in there. And when we took the jersey off on the beach, it was still there. So I was able to get the plastic in the trash. So just doing our part.
We love it. Keep those clean beaches and keep those vibes high. And we want Lahaina and Maui, everyone, lots of high vibes. We're bringing it for you, and this guy's going to bring it for you as well. Thanks so much, Josh. We love having you. Thank you so much, Maya, for coming up here, and we'll see you later.
Brother, hey, appreciate you guys. Aloha.
Back to you guys.
Thanks so much. Powerful words from Josh Vogel.
Later afternoon with the glare, with the chop that you're seeing, it tends to be a wave that can be very difficult to compete at. As we look at the first wave here, I believe this was Tyler Pike, the South African. Got to his knees up right there, and just a 1-point ride for him, but still on the board now.
All right, so getting a little length.
Been plenty of waves out there. Everybody's just kind of been out of position and caught in the rip for the most part.
So we've got a scorch drop through for last of green. We've got red.
My name is JP Veaudry from South Africa. So my accident happened on the 23rd of May 2009, and I was shooting a wedding, and I decided to take my motorbike. It was such a beautiful evening. Just before I got home, 2 kilometers from my house, someone ran a stop street, hit and run, never been found. When the surgeon told me that he was going to take my leg, the very first thing I thought of was, am I going to surf again? unless you've actually been there, it's hard to digest, you know, what you can and can't do. But I mean, I was a surfer before my accident, and I wanted to carry on being a surfer, stand-up surfer that is. And I think that's what inspired me to get going. Friends and family said, you know, don't put too much pressure on yourself. I decided to go the other route. I got all my friends, all the media, surfing magazines. They all were there on the beach waiting to see like what would happen with my first wave. I had many quiet moments in the changing rooms, getting ready as everyone is in anticipation. I'm proud to say I got up on my very first wave. I can't even express the feeling, and haven't looked back since. Once you get that first wave, anything's possible. But my friends say I surf better now than before. I'm just chasing life, really, and I start my day with a surf. I spend as much time with my family as possible, just because it could all go in a second, and I want to know that I've got no regrets.
Well, staying with the action, JP Veaudry now up and riding. He's already got a 3-point ride on the board, and he's got a great section in front of him. Connects with the lip line. He'll go down on that second turn, be able to wash that off quickly and get back into position. As we see South Africa, Israel, and Hawaii. Nachman Balulu from Israel, Mike Coots of Hawaii, and JP Veaudry out in the water for Team South Africa.
Get involved and surf one of the better waves in Hawaii, especially on the North Shore. Get involved with the Haleiwa International Open. As we look at JP Veaudry's opening wave right here, comes in as a 3-point ride. Just a one turn and incomplete. One wave closer to the pier, but with some good scoring opportunity. Seems like Veaudry, though, in the right spot for this one, Jen. Oh, he's going to let it go, though, so priority will switch. 30 seconds to go.
Will there be another chance now for Coots to be able to get into position? Veaudry had priority on that wave, has a paddle for it, but knew that he was just not quite in position to get into it. He's going to have a look at this one. He'll be able to get up and riding. Will he be able to find that open face? Just caught behind the section for a moment. He's mostly just going to be getting himself in, and that's not going to factor in.